YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this, all new from FMS. We have this 410 millimeter Warbird. It's a T-28, super fun, really detailed, scale looking, nice dihedral in the wing, 4-channel plane with a little motor and a pop-off prop that will make it super easy for you if you're a brand new pilot. It also comes with a feature that automatically levels the plane when you let go of the sticks, and you can turn that feature on or off. You can also have no stabilization if you decide you want to fly it that way. But without further ado, we're going to get this set. Also has a button right here on the transmitter that will press once and you can do loops and rolls, as well as a return to home feature, which basically turns the plane around. We don't like that feature, but we're going to set it right now. You press that for a couple seconds and it's supposed to learn its own position. Okay, so throttle up, throttle down, and then it's supposed to arm the plane, and it did. So here we go. As you can see, it's pretty non-eventful. It gets in the air pretty easy. We're about 50% throttle, really good and stable. And as you can see, when I let go of the sticks, the plane automatically levels itself. Got a little bit of downward angle to it, but it's nothing you can't figure out. Just a little extra throttle, and you see it just goes in a nice straight line. Now I'm gonna fly away from us and demonstrate the return to home feature just real quick so you can see what it does. So I press it once and it's gonna turn around the plane and it's gonna face back toward us, hypothetically. So as you can see, we don't like that feature. I wouldn't recommend planning on using it because it didn't do it very well. Okay, so press the button, pull back on the stick, couple of beeps. It's gonna execute a perfect loop for you. And then I'm gonna bring it a little bit closer to home so that you guys can see what it looks like for a roll. About 50% throttle here, 75%. And there it goes, keeps it nice and level too.
Yeah.
Gotta say, this thing is locked in. Camera crew is gonna go back to my other side and we're gonna keep flying around. Now this feels more locked in than what we have seen on other aircrafts in a similar size, but it is admittedly very calm. I'm gonna see if it can slow down. That's one of the things that I really want. And yes, it does slow down nicely. I'm about just under 50% throttle here, and it doesn't require tons of elevator to keep it going level, but I gotta say, super impressive amount of auto leveling. It's not over aggressive, but it definitely works. A lot of stick input, which helps when you're a beginner. You're gonna tend to over control planes. And there goes the prop. And then we just crash landed because the prop popped off. Now, the only problem is that prop came off right there in the middle.
I haven't taken my eyes off of it.
Okay, so don't take your eyes off of it. We've not had one pop off like that, but I have a feeling we hit a dragonfly because I'm noticing tons of dragonflies. Yep. They're huge, guys. And so that's what's beautiful about these props.
Keep walking toward that clover right in front of you.
But what's not so beautiful about them is when they come off over a grassy knoll like this. So we
right here in this general.
And the funny thing is,
right here,
we find stuff like this. That's the crazy part. Now let's demonstrate what the crash does. Okay, I'll show you just how easy it is to put this prop back on. And let's see, is there any evidence of a bird strike? I don't see any evidence of it, but I bet you anything we hit one of those bugs because they are big and juicy.
Did you keep your eye on the plane?
It's right here.
Oh, okay, good.
Look at all these cool flowers, hon.
This weird short spot.
Yeah, I don't know. Must be like where animals have been eating.
Apparently.
It's like cut. That's so weird. Yeah. So, guys, as you can see, no damage at all on the aircraft. It's still trying to fly. In fact, I could throw it and it would fly. And you can see it just spins away. It doesn't know. Blissful ignorance. Drop this into one of the clips and then push it on. And you're ready to rock and roll. So I don't think that that just popped off on its own, but if it did, we're gonna find out because we're gonna keep flying right now. You can also hand launch, give it about 50% throttle and just a nice little toss. And there it is. Even something else fell off of it. Did you see? It was one of the landing gear. Oh my goodness. What are we gonna do now?
At least that one's right up by the edge.
So we're gonna obviously have to go and find that wheel. That is hilarious. So I'm gonna come out of auto leveling here in just a second. By the way, the landing gear do come off. In fact, why don't we go ahead and do an emergency landing.
Okay.
And we'll just keep walking through the grass. This thing is so easy to fly, and I gotta say, very good flying But evidently the birds, AKA bugs in this case, because it's so small, are just enough to knock the prop off. Emergency land, and the prop came off. Now, I think that landing gear wheel came off right up here, but I don't know if we're gonna be able to find that one.
I think we were closer down this way.
So why don't you point the camera there? I'll see if I can get the plane picked back up. Obviously the prop hit the ground and popped right off. And that's pretty customary. We've seen that on these 400 millimeter warbird sizes. But the cool thing about this plane is it's so easy to bail on the gear if you decide you want to make it look like it's got retracts. So the landing gear just straight up popped off. That is crazy. So we're gonna pop this off. We're gonna put that in our pocket. I'm gonna pop this off. I bent that back throwing it across my room like a moron in my Unbox build radio setup, which by the way, you'll see right after we're done flying. And we also have an offering that's really similar to this, except it's a PA-18, which looks like a Cub for most people that aren't airplane aficionados. Okay, so auto leveling, gear off, full throttle. There it is. Nice and clean, really easy to fly.
Looks nice.
It looks absolutely fantastic, I gotta say. T-28, I'm a sucker for T-28s. It's something that, one of those planes that I just really adore, and I love the red and white. Oh, there goes the prop again. So guys, as you can see here on Brian Phillips RC, we review these planes so that you can understand what you're getting into. Not really exactly sure why these are popping off, but that actually took the whole motor mount off.
Oh.
So you guys see that? Different type of failure this time. Camera crew's gonna hold. That thing just came straight off. Is that a pressure fit or glue? I'm gonna press it on and we're just gonna try again. We'll see if this keeps up because it's kind of self-destructing, but yet it keeps flying. So there it is, straight ahead. Now I'm gonna go to stabilizer only. And unlike some of the competitive offerings, it's actually flyable. And yes, it's okay, it's not great. Holy cow.
Wow.
It's just like wants to go into a perpetual loop, probably because there's trimming that would need to be done to make it fly effectively. But I am basically able to do whatever I want. And then I'm gonna switch it back to auto leveling because the auto leveling on these little things really holds them in a nice, beautiful configuration. So we're gonna walk back up by the garage. And so what's so nice about these things is that if you don't know anything about flying RC and you're interested in it, but you just are afraid of the fear factor of being able to figure out exactly how to do it, that's fine there. They will help take the fear factor out because as you can see, you pretty much can do no wrong with this thing. Sure, if you crashed into the side of the house, it might break, but I kind of doubt it actually. We've done it before and we're getting low on juice, so we'll just put it down and let the prop come right off. That time I did feel like we were losing power. So 400 milliamp hour 1S LiPo pack comes with the plane. In fact, it comes with everything you need with the exception of the 4 AA's that you have to load into the transmitter, okay? So what have we established? The return to home feature, total garbage, not unexpectedly. What else have we learned? That there is an offsetting up top. There's a stabilizer in the middle, which I didn't go to the middle. I went all the way to the top. So I was flying it with it totally off. And then the auto leveling is towards your belly. So if you listen, 1 beep, 2 beeps, and 3 beeps. I want to see if I can get enough to run with stabilizer only. I kind of doubt it though. By the way, when you go to load this battery, super easy process. Pop that open. And if you have trouble grabbing that battery lead, use one of your landing gear to help reach in there and grab it. So I'm just gonna go in here like this in the middle mode, which is stabilized mode, and we'll see how this one goes. We may not have enough battery to fly for very long. Okay, so we are flying really pretty good, pretty simple, feels a lot better than what we've seen from other little micros like this. It's actually flyable. Definitely not holding its altitude, not holding its pitch, a little bit touchy on the pitch axis, but it's actually flyable. And then of course, when you're in stabilized mode, You can do whatever you want. So you can flip it upside down. I mean, you have to do it within the confines of the aircraft's capabilities. So if it's a power maneuver, you'll need power to execute. But like in this case, you can do a roll, you can do a loop, whatever you want to do. And yes, this will help you to learn to fly. But I gotta say, it's definitely a little bit touchy, and it's not the easiest flying I've ever done. You would think it's pretty easy, a small plane, cheap, easy. It's gonna do exactly what you want. Well, that is exactly incorrect. Without a good stabilizer and flight controller, small planes tend to be challenging. But in this case, I would say it tends to be pretty good, actually. It's a lot better than what we've seen from other competitive offerings. And I would expect no less from FMS. It does appear to be doing loops automatically, which is really annoying.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go back to auto leveling, and I'm just gonna fly it around, try to get away from those big trees there. Just out of throttle now, just gliding in here. Very good, very good. So I thought maybe I was low on juice earlier, but maybe I wasn't. Man, it looks good, doesn't it?
In the auto leveling, it looks really nice.
The elevator is kind of fly by suggestion though, because I'm really having to jank the stick back to get it to go up, but it's not bad. And so for that reason, I'm just gonna bring it right to us because it's easier. This plane actually flies and performs a lot better than I expected, because we've done a lot of 400mm warbirds, but this one seems to do just a little bit better. I'm super surprised, probably as surprised as you guys are, but I gotta say, here on Brian Phillips RC, we tell the full truth, nothing but the truth, so help us God. And sometimes that gets us in a situation where we can't make a recommendation on a product we'd like to recommend, because we do work with these companies for small commissions when we sell these planes for them or with their assistance. Okay, so with all that considered, a couple things. You can actually adjust this here to make that elevator go up just a hair, and you can actually get more authority by going to the inside hole versus the middle, or the outside hole would deaden the elevator a little bit further. But keep in mind, when you're in auto leveling, it's going to hold a position unless you're giving it input, and then it's going to allow you to command and control that aircraft and its pitch authority. Being limited as it may be, you can also adjust this to go out a little bit by just pulling those two apart, and that will make the neutral position, meaning when there's no stick input, make the plane go up a little bit. Now, the auto leveling is going to undermine the performance of that mechanical adjustment to a certain extent. So if you can fly it in stabilized mode, the middle, or off mode after you've made that adjustment, just to make sure it's not going in loops all the time, that would be the best way to do it. Now, the other thing is, I feel like this thing could probably use a little bit bigger battery so that you'd get a little bit more nose weight for the absolute beginner. If you're gonna try to fly in stabilized mode, it should tame the plane nicely. This is 400 milliamp hours. I know there's a lot that have 500, there's some that have 460, and a variety of different sizes. Am I annoyed that I lost my wheel? Kinda, because I didn't get to demonstrate, other than the takeoff, how good the wheels are, because these wheels are actually great. They are soft, and they are nice looking. So I don't have any problem with these wheels. I'm just annoyed that the one came off, and they are not super robust. Look at that. That bearing assembly,
Yeah.
that's just gonna pop off. So my fear is, guys, you're gonna lose your wheels too. So I would just plan on it, kind of use it as a novelty item. You don't need the wheels to make this plane work great, but if you're planning on doing wheels up, wheels down, I would maybe pull apart this assembly, and I would put a drip of CA carefully so that it holds it together. CA being super glue that we use in the models all the time, okay?
And you might want the wheels if you're gonna like set it on your table or on a shelf to store it, not
That's
set
right.
it on its belly.
The other thing is, it comes with a charger for this, but you have to provide your own USB-A power source. So if you don't already have one of those, you could plug it into your cigarette adapter for your car cell phone or something like that. Maybe your laptop. But the idea is, these things are really fun. They get you out of the chair and into the air, which is what we talk about a lot on this channel on Brian Phillips RC. We want you guys to be out of the chair and actually doing some of this. Don't just live vicariously through me in all of our RC shenanigans here on Brian Phillips RC. Just because we're building another runway on our property doesn't mean that you can't enjoy this in your front yard. Yes, it is sub 250. There's no regulations that outline this particular product. Unless, of course, you want to dig really deep, and I'm sure you could find some stupid rule somewhere. At the end of the day, this is sub 250, so you shouldn't need any, remote ID module is what I'm getting at. So if you don't know what that is, don't worry, you don't need it. But if you do know what the remote ID module is, you don't need it on this particular product because it is sub 250. Now, that all being said, really good product, easy to hand launch, flies well. You'll notice it's dead calm, or close as you can get to dead calm without being totally dead calm. The flag is, after all, pointed just about a foot out from the pole. That could be just the angle the pole's going. So yesterday we had about 40 miles an hour wind and we had thunderstorms blowing in. Don't practice this in that weather. It won't do it, okay? So you gotta make sure you pick a good environment to learn to fly. It needs to be calm, it needs to be good visibility, and you need to have a lot of room. This is actually kind of tight for most people. When you're starting to fly, you want tons of room. Now, across the street over there, we've got a field that's opened up. That's probably about 10 to 12 acres open before we get to the next trees, and we have about 1.5 or 2 acres on this side before we go to the back side of our property, which extends that way, and it's pretty good size. But this thing will do just fine in a small soccer-sized field, or maybe a football-sized field. If you've got school nearby, it'd be a great way to enjoy the hobby, and not super expensive. It's not gonna break the bank, but I gotta say, it looks good, flies good. Not excited about the return to home function. I think it's stupid, it's foolishness, it does not work, it's proven to not work. We've used it on many competitive offerings and it never works. Don't plan on it. The execution of the rolls and the loops was near perfection. Really happy with that. I'm a little bit off put on the stabilized mode compared to auto leveling. I feel like the auto leveling is just really excellent on these. Of course, I don't need auto leveling to fly because I have the skills to fly an aircraft like this. But if you don't, it works really good. And I feel like that's really the most of you, the type of person that really wants this T-28 is gonna need that help. So it's a really good feature to have, but even when you turn it off, this does better than some of the competitive offerings we've seen from some of the other brands that are into this 400 millimeter warbird size. That being said, we've had pretty good luck with those, but they favor more toward the toy side. This favors closer to the hobby grade, but it's still firmly in the toy grade, I would say. That being said, there are such a thing as hobby grade planes that are this small, but they're considerably more expensive. You generally have to provide your own transmitter, and it's not gonna be a cheapy one like this. It's gonna be the same one you use for your big expensive $7,000 plane, or your $500 plane, or your $250 plane, or whatever it is. 7,000 might be a little bit of a stretch, but even still, at the end of the day, this transmitter is fine for what it is. It's also good for kids-sized hands. My hands are big, I work with my hands for a living, and sometimes the really, really small transmitters are problematic for me. But my kids do well with this, okay? So lots of good to consider. I really, really like the foam on these things. Super easy to take bumps and bruises without totally brutalizing the plane. That's something that's not necessarily true over on the hobby grade offerings because they're gonna be made of EPS instead of EPO. And this is a very rubbery EPO as opposed to the EPS, which is expanded styrene, the S for styrene. So it's like, think like a plate that you would eat off of. It's very brittle, but it's also quite a bit lighter. And this is EPO, so it's gonna be more soft and squishy, as you can see here. I don't wanna break it for the sake of demonstration, but it is definitely soft. Okay, lots to consider. Some drawbacks in this model compared to competitive offerings is that it did not come with spare prop. I was very disappointed by that. A lot of these come with spare props. The good news is there's a plethora of amazing spare prop options out there. I'm assuming FMS is gonna offer them, but we're not exactly privy to it because this is an early release, so we're not sure what's gonna be on the parts page yet.
Right.
That being said, if you have other 400 or 500 millimeter warbirds, I do believe that these will be compatible. Some of them have 4, some of them have 3 pedals for collecting these receptacles here that go onto the motor shaft or the prop shaft. And if yours likes to slip off like mine did, I do not know why that happened. It seems a little bit strange to me that it doesn't have threads on it. Some of the cheaper offerings have a more unsophisticated prop shaft that is basically a threaded screw with the head cut off, essentially. And you just brace it and spin it on. So you take needle nose pliers, you hold the shaft and you spin it on like a screw, or like a nut, more specifically. So that thing screws on. This one is a pressure fit. You just slide it in, okay? The drawback to that is, like you see, after a couple of crashes, you may not be paying attention. It can technically pull out, okay? Maybe it's a fluke. Maybe it's gonna be systemic. All I can tell you is I really like the plane, and those drawbacks are fairly minor, and I don't think the average Joe is gonna have a big problem with them. And if you do, you can get around to pulling this off. If it pops off a second time, take your needle nose pliers and crimp that shaft so that it makes Mars on the prop shaft. And then when you slide it on, it'll hold on, okay? It'll act like a little lock nut, okay? The other thing you can do is a drip of CA, but you gotta make sure you spin that sucker on there so that it spreads that out and slathers it. And I'm talking one drip, and don't do any more, okay? Yeah. Lots of considerations, really well done. I was nervous about this one. We've done so many in the past, and I thought it was just another dime a dozen 400 millimeter warbird. And that's not to take anything away from the good warbirds that we've seen in the past, but it is to say, why are you getting into the market so late, FMS? I mean, everybody else has already done this. Well, I'm gonna tell you this. This is a little bit different. I'm happy to report it is better than what we've experienced in the past. That could be something that's gonna roll out in the other lines too, and it could just be that FMS is doing their own branded offering. And I think that's what I'm leaning toward on this one, because FMS does make a lot of rebranded products. Namely, most of the warbirds that we love in the E-Flight lineup are made by FMS for E-Flight, aka Horizon Hobby. So they know how to make a plane, and they do a good job of it. Lots of things to consider though when you're getting RC airplanes. My biggest consideration is, does it look right and does it fly good? Those are two big considerations. If it looks good and it doesn't fly good, is it gonna be a good enough look that it makes up for the bad performance? And can I put it on a coffee table and talk about it? That's everyone. You know, just as an example, if you're used to watching Brian Phillips RC, we try to give you our full truth, nothing but the truth, so help us God, because at the end of the day, we know you have limited RC budgets if you're a normal person. So this is definitely a fun thing. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. Since they've also got the PA-18, you might like that better. We're gonna have a video about that as well. Check it out. Our unbox is gonna showcase both of these aircraft, and we're gonna sandwich it onto the end of both of these videos. So if you're watching this thinking, how come you didn't do the PA-18? Well, we did. So don't freak out. It's available right now. You should be able to watch it. Unless something weird happens and they fail to release it or the shipping gets screwed up or something like that. Yeah. But at this point, they should be releasing at the same time. So if you're watching this T-28 and you think that's pretty sweet, is the PA-18 is good? Yeah, it probably is. So check it out. It's gonna be available right now on brianphillipsrc.com or bprc.me. If you want to help support Brian Phillips RC, but you don't want this plane, maybe you want the Carbon Z T-28 that's made by FMS, branded through E-Flight, Horizon Hobby. Check out our links in the video description below. Head over to brianphillipsrc.com or bprc.me, and you can sort by type, which we would have like a micro category. We'd have like a warbird category. We'd have an affiliate category that coordinates with FMS. So you can find a lot of this stuff really easy right there. And all it does is it brings you right back to YouTube, or if you want to buy, you can buy them there. And when you buy there, it just links you to the websites, to our partners and affiliates that we work with. And when you buy there, you'll help support Brian Phillips RC. Now, that being said, if you don't follow the links and you don't go to the website and you don't click through the links, then we don't really get much out of it, except for you watching the videos. And we do appreciate you doing that at minimum, even if you aren't buying these things. So thanks for doing that. Thanks for being here on Brian Phillips RC. Smash the like button if you want to help us out, and then click the bell for notifications when you do subscribe. There's so much content coming. There's so much. And if you want to support us in other ways, Patreon for monthly support, YouTube super thanks for one-time donations, PayPal for one-time donations, and of course YouTube members. If you want to be a member on YouTube, that's also fine. And we have a PO box if you want to send something. Just let us know on an email in our About tab so that we know to look for it, because we don't check it often. That's about it, guys. Good plane, good offering. Couple of different things to keep an eye on. Are you worried about the landing gear? Something you might want to keep in mind. But I don't want to beat up an otherwise good plane over a minor problem. That being said, our prop broke off twice. I'm blaming a Dragonfly, but it could have just been a freak accident. I don't know. I don't like covering for the hobby companies that make things that don't work well, but I do think this works well enough. Okay? All right, that's all I'm going to leave you with. Thanks for watching, guys. Come back for more. All right, folks, so you remember we lost that wheel? We found it. So this thing came off of the wheel, off of the shaft. And so this is what it looks like here. So it's just clean and hardly any texture. So I'm just gonna take a regular pair of needle nose pliers that have this texture, and I'm gonna just try to bite and just make a depression in there really hard, okay? And I don't know if I'm gonna get enough of a depression that it's gonna leave a mark that'll grab texture. Yeah, that did put some little teeth in there.
Okay.
So then I have to drop this wheel on first. Just drop it on there loose. And then secondly, stick this retainer clippy thing through and push it on. There you go, simple as that. So there you are. Now that's fixed. Now, same thing with the prop. If your prop likes to come off, which I still tend to think that was a little fluky, okay? I'm gonna do kind of the same thing. I'm just gonna grab my prop shaft and I'm gonna mar the shaft. Would you just put a hand there just in case? Just a little bit of a bite, and it's gonna be hard to see, but I've got a little mar on there now. And so my hope is that will be enough to keep that from slipping off again. Oh yeah, I can feel a lot more resistance.
Okay.
So once it's on, you should be good to go. And then you can go back to your landing gear on. Oh, put that on the wrong one. They slip on like this and then snap. Super, super easy installation. And then I almost feel like we never did give them wheels up, wheels down, did we?
No, we did not.
Yeah, shoot. Okay, so we'll have to get another battery from the charging station and fly some more. Okay, so we just got done putting that wheel back on and we plopped in the battery for the PA18, full disclosure, but we're in auto leveling. Wheels up, wheels down, okay? 47 by 47, hey, don't get in my way of the landing. Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. And plenty of rudder authority to actually steer it, even though there's not a steerable nose gear. So I'm curious, now that we did that, if I can actually taxi. Look at this guy. We've got our next pilot right there. Look at that. He's so small.
He'll fit.
He would. That would be animal cruelty, I think.
Can't do that,
okay, so throttle and a little bit of yaw. Look at that. You can actually sort of taxi. Pretty sweet. Okay, let's do that one more time. This is like not quite half a basketball court. Okay, well, it's actually a little bit more. Because what is a basketball court? So I guess we need to do the nose gear too. See? Mm-hmm. Well, now we know how to do it though. Man, that thing is so good. Okay, guys, now you know how to do it. I'm gonna go inside and do the other landing gear, but that's all you need. Here on Brian Phillips RC, we show you all the ups and downs of our RC aviation experience. That makes for long format content, so please forgive us and come back for more. YouTube, Brian Phillips. We've got 2 boxes today. Let's start with the smaller one. Welcome to Brian Phillips RC. We open them up, we show you what to expect, and then we show you all the things you have to do to get them in the air. They're usually aircraft, but sometimes they're not.
Sometimes.
So, without further ado, all new, super exciting, never seen before, maybe. Oh, it's a T-28 410 millimeters. Okay, now, since there's 2 of them,
Just gonna get the suspense
we're just gonna get this out of the way right now.
Okay.
And here's the thing, guys. We've got a day and a half. We've got 37 mile an hour wind before this release. So a day and a half seems like plenty of time to film this, right? Oh, look at that, it's a PA18. This one's 500 millimeters. So just keep in mind, this one's bigger. These are both ready to fly, and they're both from FMS, which is new. I do not know of a time when FMS has had something like this as an offering. So we're gonna find out if it's any good or if it's just complete trash. I kind of doubt it's gonna be complete trash. At the end of the day, when we do reviews on these planes, we do it in such a way that we understand we're gonna have to check the price point compared to, you know, like that F7F from FMS. I mean, obviously,
Right.
Your average Joe is not gonna get into the hobby spending 800 bucks on a plane or 150 bucks on a battery or whatever it is. These little ready to flies have been good in the past. We have incidentally seen them in the past, but not from FMS. So my real question is, are they gonna be good? Are they gonna be terrible? I guess we're gonna find out right now. So you're watching an unbox for two different products at the same time. That's very unusual. So if you watched a flight and you said, hey, but I wanted to see you unbox that one, don't worry, we'll do both of them in this very video, and we are gonna recycle them into both because they're in the same class, even though they're significantly different in size, which I don't quite understand. We will in a minute,
right.
Okay? So the T-28 comes in the red and white color, which is pretty sweet. Huge manual, actually printed. That's nice. One of my favorite parts of using FMS equipment is that they do actually have good manuals. Even though they're a Chinese company, they do a good job with manuals. And I gotta say, so far, everything in the package looks good. Comes with a little micro style battery. And we'll show you the goodies in the bag before we even rip out the plane, because I know that's what you guys really want to see. We want to keep you with us for a few minutes here. By the way, thanks for being with us here on Brian Phillips RC, where we show every meticulous step, and that's because most people that are watching YouTube unbox build radio setup videos are needing some help, and that's exactly what we do on this channel. We don't cut corners because we know you guys probably need help, or you would have just done it without watching, okay? What do we have here? We have a 1S LiPo. I'll flip this over. Looks like it is 400 milliamp hour. It does come with a charger. It's very basic, simple. We'll show you this charger, and then we're gonna show you what we're really gonna use on a routine basis. And then inside of this bag, we've got some very light landing gear. Feel like they're probably soft too. Yep, soft. That's the way we like it. We insist on it. Incredibly light, by the way. And same thing with this battery. So we're gonna get that charging right away. And I know some of you are screaming at the TV, just show us the plane. Okay, relax, here it comes. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Looks really
nice. It is actually really well done. Of course, it's an unpainted white, really good jigging, tight lines. Not gonna have to worry about that stuff coming off. And I don't know, they've mentioned in the past using like a water-based paint, which tends to not be quite as thick and heavy, which is nice. Big ailerons. And one of the best parts of these things, I don't know, yep, that's right. We have the removable prop. Good. Very nice. You know what I didn't see in the package though? What? A spare prop. Holy cow.
Oh, that's
yeah.
true.
So anyway, so guys, watch this. Woo! Pretty good flying. And I would never do that with a more expensive, heavier plane. There's a cat here. Good thing she didn't attack this plane. But I gotta say, I love the T-28. It is one of my favorite planes. And it's so weird because when I started flying, in fact, you see a real dinky one back there. Right there. You see that one back there? That's a 2 meter, okay? By the way, FMS makes that plane for E-Flight. The wing is smaller than the horizontal stabilizer. That is actually kind of cool.
It is cool.
I'm surprised I didn't think of Carbon Z T-28, one of the best planes in my fleet. One of my real favorites, and I have hundreds of aircraft. You can get something on a much smaller scale and really hopefully enjoy it. Feels good, I think. What are we dealing with for a motor? Is that a brushless motor or is that a brushed motor? I can't tell. We'll find out in a minute. But you're gonna put your battery inside of here, and it looks like an actually robust, stronger servo. Like these things usually have crappy servos. So my expectations are extremely low. Also, mechanical trim here and here for both of the ailerons. And yes, they do yank at an angle, so that does have corresponding, let's call it inefficiencies involved, but it's very light, okay? Also, pinch hinge, barely there, okay? We've never had a problem with those before.
No.
Full disclosure, okay? It is kind of weird that they chose to have that open that direction instead of the other, because then it would have closed itself if it popped open on landing, but these things are genuinely so light that it's of no consequence. Also, better carbon fiber reinforcements than we've seen on some, and then yes, they did carbon fiber reinforce, and this feels, you could not do that with most of the smaller planes. They're not stiff in the wings like that, but I still feel like this has that squishy sort of, frankly, weak foam. But it's good to be weak on this type of plane. compare it to a more expensive, considerably nicer Draco, micro Draco. Now this isn't an ultra micro, so this has a much stiffer, thicker foam. It's much more detailed and also considerably more expensive. You're gonna have ball link, you know, connections. You're gonna have better micro servos, ultra micro servos with linear long throw servos, which a lot of us don't like because we've all had problems with them over the years, but they're also extremely light and good and torquey and very strong. These little 2.5 gram, 2.3 gram, 3 gram servos historically tend to die. But the good news is, if you're brand new to the hobby, you're not gonna fly this thing long enough, you're gonna be sucked into the hobby and you'll be flying a Carbon Z Cub in no time at all. Guys, we also have a transmitter under here. Okay, so let's see how this looks. Got the knife back out. And don't worry, we are gonna get to the PA-18 shortly. PA-18, of course, many of you are probably thinking Cub. That is actually a PA-18, so we'll show you that here in a minute. Okay, so we have throttle stick, detents, nice little basic controller. Reminds me of the Arrows Ready to Fly like Pioneer. Okay, so super similar. Yes, you can extend the sticks if you need longer sticks, which I never met anybody who needed longer sticks until I flew with John from Two Brothers RC, because he needs longer sticks, which is weird. And then I think Gary might have.
Oh.
So anyway, all right, there's 3 stages, 1, 2, 3. Then there's this button, which must be a bit of a panic button. There's a power button, trimmer, 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 trimmer. That's not a trimmer though. I think that's how you set your return to home U-turn stupid feature that's useless. And I'm just hoping that FMS did a better job with their setup. Okay, so let's pop in some batteries. Wow, you had those in your pocket?
I did.
What kind of a freak did I marry?
Well,
the good kind. The flat side goes to the spring, okay? Now guys, if you're brand new to Brian Phillips RC, we will literally go from nothing to flying in the Unbox Build radio setup in almost every circumstance. We have a green light, I don't know what that means, but it did make some noise, audio feedback too. Now let's plop in the gear. So we have mains. These are going to go in, that's the nose gear. That is gonna go in and then rotate and lock. Boom. Nice spring load, very good. These are simpler. For the mains, I believe I want this one to be over here so that it is outboard, meaning that the wheel is pointed out. Snap it in. Super light, really easy install. You can pop those in your pocket. Now, obviously, these are not retractable landing gear. If you get the Carbon Z Cub, you're gonna get retractable landing gear, but with that, you get some robust landing gear. Now remember, I don't have the battery in here, so it's not gonna balance out, but if I did, it would. Also keep in mind, this is a nose gear, so you have no steerable nose gear. Sometimes you'll have a tail dragger that will correspond to the rudder, and therefore you do get some steering authority on the ground. But just keep in mind, typically you get moving so quick with these, you can just get off the ground and then yaw with your rudder or just take off. But you will have already seen it in the Unbox Build radio setup. So let's talk about batteries real quick before we dig into the PA-18, because we know you are all sitting on pins and needles wanting to know exactly how to calibrate, excuse me, not calibrate, but charge this battery. Got excited there. Okay, we'll just go to the next one. Okay, well, we're gonna charge with this one, I guess, because the other one's on the ground somewhere. Plug it in. This thing is all twisted up. I'll just leave it twisted up. Plug it in that way. There's a little red flicker of light that happened.
Yep, you see the light?
See how it's flickering? Let's go over here so you guys can see. So you see that? That's kind of interesting. I wonder why it's flickering like that. Okay, so this is going to go into this Molex connector. It's keyed, and then it's gonna go to a solid red in charging mode, okay? So while the camera crew shows you that up close, I'm gonna pick all the stuff up that went flying across the room violently as I evidently got caught on something in my basket of goodies. Now, real quick, we're gonna test some voltage. I don't know if it's gonna wake this up, but we'll show you that it's working. This is an XBC checker. I like to say battery checker. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get onto the pins, but I think I can. It doesn't look like I'm gonna have enough juice to wake it up, okay? Because yeah, I am on the pins, but I don't think I'm gonna have enough juice to wake it up, okay? So as a result, here's another trick of the day. If you have one of these Predator style battery checkers and voltage alarms, find the minus, put the black on the minus, plug it in, and booyah, you can tell the voltage. Very nice. 3.91 volts. Okay, so we're going to plug this back in, let it charge for uno momento. By the way, this is not included with your ready to fly aircraft, but we use them on a lot of different aircrafts, which by the way, feast your eyes on this F7F. Beautiful plane. FMS also makes that. And the Cessna 182, which is down there. And just keep in mind, guys, FMS has a whole repertoire of different aircraft that are really well done. And we have done almost all of them for you right here on Brian Phillips RC. And all you have to do is check out brianphillipsrc.com. If you don't like spelling names and things, you can just go to bprc.me and it'll take you to the same place. And you can sort by type. You can sort by brand or affiliate that we worked with. You can find exactly what you want to find, which is going to tell you all the stuff you need to know, because when we do a plug and fly plane that is definitely not a ready to fly, feast your eyes on the back of the package, anything good there, then you will see a heck of a lot more information being disseminated to the tune of, we'll start you from nothing and get you in the air. Okay, and we've done it for hundreds of aircraft. So now in this case, we're going to continue on our vein of success. We're going to put this over here. We might actually need to label that. In fact, since we've got two of them, let's label it right now.
Yeah.
This is something we do. You don't have to do it, but we do it. My suggestion is to do it. Anytime you get her ready to fly, T-28. Okay?
Perfect.
I usually mark them back here, but that just works because it's there. Okay?
I like that they kept this simple and didn't try and like make it look all fancy and fakey. Like
just fake buttons and stuff. Who wants fake buttons?
Yeah.
I don't want fake buttons.
It's simple. Just make it simple.
Yeah. It is simple, and that's part of the reason why it's good, guys.
Right.
At the end of the day, oh, by the way, colors. This one looks like it just comes in the red and white, but this one comes in a blue and white livery and a red and white. I don't know which one we got. Oh, there's your colors.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it looks like
ours is not indicated.
It doesn't indicate.
Oh, it says 2 sets of stickers. Pick the one you like. So maybe you have to apply the decals.
Show them the specs. And then here's the specs on the T-28. If you guys need to see the full specs, you can see them right there. But here on Brian Phillips RC, to be honest with you, frankly, if you're a brand new pilot, nobody cares about the specs. You just want to know, does it work? The answer is probably.
We
but listen,
recommend
they don't always work.
They don't.
They don't. Like, we review stuff that doesn't work once in a while. Yeah. And it's extremely frustrating for us. Oh, wow. Those are matte finish. Really nice. Okay. Cool. Okay. We review stuff all the time. And we've had a handful of different planes in this size class that have turned out really good and a handful that have turned out really garbagey. Admittedly, the 400 millimeter and 500 millimeter, it is hit or miss, but the 400s have historically been very good. Okay, so this size class, and I don't know who's making these for FMS or if FMS is actually manufacturing them themselves. If they were, I would be glad. Oh, I see. So you quite literally put those decals over the top of the red ones.
If you want the blue.
That's cool. I like that. Because then I don't have to touch it.
It'd be especially nice like if you were learning to fly with your kid.
That's kind of scary though.
What?
Hope that people don't have it broken. But look how this is held in. It's trapped. See that? Yeah, it's trapped. Yeah. So this goes down and forces that into a position where it's protected. I can take it. I love that you can put it back in the package.
Yeah.
Okay, now this feels similar to other PA-18 style planes that we've seen before. Beautiful spinner, beautiful prop, definitely quick release. So that means, and by the way, you don't think that's a big deal until literally the first 10 seconds of playing with these and it gets broken off. Holy crap, I didn't think that was gonna hit my plane.
Way to go.
Son of a biscuit.
At least it hit not the T-28, but you did damage it.
Ah, are you kidding me? I didn't damage my new plane, but I definitely damaged the Hobby King, which, to be honest with you, that just goes to show you, if the foam is El Cheapo, you will get El Dentos, okay? So, whatever, I guess that's life. If you don't want to damage your planes, don't fly other planes into them. is a rule of thumb.
It is.
I've learned this over the history of my time,
Well,
but I just thought that flew really good. Let's try, should I go this way?
Maybe go to where there's not actually a million points.
Oh, it goes straight into the wood. So folks, here on Brian Phillips RC, we're not afraid of destroying brand new products just to showcase that they will fly through the room. And I gotta say, that flew really good.
It did really fly really good. It was good.
It's reassuring, but also these clips, just so you can see how easy it is to pop a prop back on. You kind of catch a lip and then just push it on and you're ready to rock.
Yep.
And there it is.
I'm kind of surprised that it didn't come with spare props.
Maybe this one did. I don't know. We'll have to communicate that to our counterparts in China.
At least one would be nice.
You should be sending spare props.
But our kids fly a lot of these and they actually rarely break a prop to the point where it needs to be replaced.
Usually don't break a prop, but you want to know what happens? We lose props in grass this tall.
Yeah, we do lose them.
Okay, but we also are hay farmers. We look like farmers, don't
Obviously.
we? So, here we go. Same kind of setup. You've got a single aileron servo in there. Look at these things. These are going to be useless. Stick them in.
What?
They're just so wiggly.
Oh.
But you know what? I like that they're soft, okay? Oh, and there is a tail dragger wheel in this bag. So kind of same thing, guys. Super easy. Did you only get 4 batteries?
No.
Wow. So not only did I get so lucky to marry a woman that carries around 4 batteries, but you carry around 8 batteries. I don't know whether or not to call the hospital for help or be
double A's in my pocket.
glad. Okay, so that is some ugly landing gear.
And it's not attached to the rudder, right? So you
No,
don't
it's
have
not.
any steer.
And that was the first thing I was going to bring up is there isn't. I got to say the decals, the livery on this, it's fine. It's nothing. I do not understand that. Can you read that, please?
I don't feel like I should read it out loud.
Okay.
Whatever.
Random letter choices from China, folks. All right, so it is what it is. You've got more batteries for these?
Yep.
Oh, and there is a quality control certificate in here. It's just this round thing, so no, that's not like an I voted sticker or anything like that. I don't care. This is fine, but you know, whatever. I'm gonna stick it back in the box.
Right.
Because there's nothing on the bottom. Okay.
But again, if you have 2 people, you're learning to fly with your kid. One, you can put the blue decals on.
Makes a big difference.
It does.
It is hard to keep track, even with 2 planes that are different colors when you're brand new, okay?
Yeah.
This is a little bit longer than the packaging. That was a miss on somebody's part. They probably should have known how wide this was gonna be.
Yeah.
It's too wide.
That's why it's folded.
That's all right. We'll give them a pass on that. So here on Brian Phillips RC, we show all the gaffes in addition to our own, okay?
Correct.
Because just because we review stuff from China, we poke fun at their mistakes, but we also make mistakes. And so it's fun to laugh at yourself when you make a mistake. But at the end of the day, some of these things are preference issues and not necessarily mistakes. So we also acknowledge that there might be occasional differences of opinions between us and a particular manufacturer. So if that happens, you'll understand. But we do have an opinion, and our opinion is gonna get shared. All right, so check this out. PA-18, ready? Throttle stick down. PA-18, okay? Very good.
Okay.
So we're gonna just cram this in. I do like the carrying handle. There's no lanyard attachment point, but I typically wouldn't lanyard up a smaller transmitter like this. It's light, it's easy to carry. It does feel good. It's got nice high quality switches. We've seen some junk on these ready to flies. This is more or less fine. Oh, look, it's got an FCC ID on it. Are you kidding me? It's actually legal? Well, there was some wasted money.
Well, those
they should do that.
those little transmitters also fit in kids' hands too,
That's right.
which is nice. They're a good
Because
size.
compared to a bigger transmitter, they do actually matter. Oh, and by the way, let's look at the battery size quick. Looks to be the same, but looks can be deceiving. Yep, that one looks like a 400 milliamp hour, which speaks to the capacity. This is a 1S, meaning it is one cell in series. Sounds stupid for anybody who knows what series means. It would normally be described as one cell, but we call it one cell in series.
Right.
Even though there is no series, if that makes sense. If it were in parallel, then it would be 2, and the positive and the negative would be hooked together. If it's in series, then the positive of this one goes to the negative of the next one, and then the positive and negative of the lot of them become the output, the main discharge, okay? we'll teach you things like that as you work your way through the ranks. Now, if you're serious about flying these things, here's the thing. You're gonna end up with something like this. This is the Spectrum Micro Lipo Charger. Has to be announced like that too, or it doesn't work. Okay, plug it in, it's AC charger. Molex connectors are here, as well as the JST, pH 2.0, and then the UM, which is another micro pH plug. So this one here, you can see it only goes into one hole. If you try to do it backward and you press hard enough, you might be able to get it to work. But I think in this case, we're just gonna stick it in where it fits. And then we're gonna press this and look, 0.0, I wanna get this to 0.4 amps, which is the same as 400 milliamp hours. Then that's at 3.9. So real quick, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. See this? Watch, more. Where did my little thing go?
Oh, you put it down here with the...
So we're gonna check this, see if it's even charging, folks. Okay, so minus is toward my belly. Plug it in. What do we have? 4.05, so it's up. Okay, so it's charging, but I am impatient, so I'm just gonna stick this in here too. And what I'm gonna do is I'll show you again. You press this down, then you scroll in the value you want by turning the knob. We'll link to this. This is not from FMS. It is not included with the product. It's a separate product. You can see that it's demonstrating the voltage, which is kind of nice. So if you don't have something like this sitting around, you could plug this into your laptop, your cell phone charger, whatever it is, and then you can charge. So it's super easy and super simple, which is nice for people that are just getting into the hobby. However, my expectation is if you're buying this plane for your husband and you want the kids to be able to play with your husband, then buy two.
Yeah.
Don't just buy one. And I'm not talking about batteries, I'm talking about two planes. Then you can get one of these things for like 40 or 50 bucks or whatever they're going for these days. Maybe it's like 150 bucks now with tariffs. But either way, the point is get one. You're gonna wanna charge stuff faster. Also, charging at 400 milliamps would be called 1C, or we would consider that to be 1C. You can charge that pack probably at 2C. So you could charge it at 0.8 amps. You could even probably charge it at 1.2, which would be 3C. But it's up to you. Whatever you do, keep your eyes on it, keep your ears on it, be in close proximity. If you smell something going funny, then deal with it. And I'm not talking about the after effects of your Mexican lunch. Don't charge them at night while you're sleeping. Don't charge them and leave. Put them on a hard surface, like this is granite. Even if this thing caught on fire right here, if it didn't chase down the wire, we would be more or less safe. Okay, that's a lot of potential energy right there. These batteries are huge and there's a lot of them. Don't be like me, do things better. We run a YouTube channel, okay? That being said, if you're concerned about battery safety, keep in mind we have fire extinguishers here, fire extinguishers there, fire extinguishers there. We have 1, 2, 3 egresses, and we have egresses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from this main area, 6. So if you know you're safe or you're comfortable being safe, just be as safe as you can. These props are generally not gonna hurt you, just to be clear. They're not gonna spin hard enough, they're not gonna spin fast enough, and they're gonna break right off and pop off like this if they really hit you hard. Now, if it hits your eyeballs, that's gonna be a bad day. So don't hit your eyeballs, try not to hit your face. But to be honest with you, one of the worst things you could do is like catch your daughter's hair with this and get tangled in it. I'm not saying I've done that for the record, but I may have done that with drones a few times. Twice. Okay, anyway. So manuals that come with these will tell you how to do things. They should be relatively basic. All we have to do is plug in the battery. This will wake up. It's one of the few times where you have to sometimes turn on the plane first and then turn on your transmitter. Every other real plane, helicopter, quad, VTOL, you're gonna turn on the transmitter first. Keep command of it, make sure you're in the right plane so that we can actually control these giant spinning props that will cut fingers off.
Yeah.
And will cause you to die if you did it just right. That being said, the Catalina, look at this. This is the one I hit with the plane.
See?
That poor dent on the top now.
It's gonna like hold water.
By the way, if you get a dent in foam, yes, you can fix it. If it's a really bad dent, that's not a really bad dent. You can actually fill it with lightweight spackle and you can let it dry and then you can paint it. Or if it's a small imperfection that you want to fix on the wingtip or on a tail, even with this more expanded rubbery sort of foam, like suppose I crush this in, I could take hot water and I can run this under hot water and it will, many times it will repuff into position, okay? So there's a lot of different technology that goes into making this foam the way that it is so it's resilient, and along with the carbon fiber, fiberglass, plastic, and metal, and sometimes some balsa wood, basswood, that helps to make the structural rigidity in these foamies. There's also a lot of procedures like hot water or taking warm water and putting it in a microwave and warming it up for a few minutes using a hot pad, picking it up, you can dip the tip and that way it will actually expand back out those balls of foam, okay? We go through stuff like that on Brian Phillips RC on a somewhat periodic basis, and I'm not admitting because I crash, those trees weren't there 42 years ago.
Neither were you.
Well, so anyway, 4.14 and 4.17, 18 now. So let's go ahead and just show you what happens if you were to screw them up. You get an alarm, we'll click, we'll just acknowledge it, and then we're gonna come back over here and let's show you what it looks like to fire up your given plane. You wanna start with the T-28?
Okay.
So first thing you do, pull this down. If you can't get that out with your fingertips, you use the lead, go in there with the lead and get it to where it's like tangled up with it a little bit. And if you really get in a pinch and you can't get it out, pop one of your landing gear off like this. You can reach into the plane and just pull that out. Once you get a little bit of memory on there, it should be easier, okay? So we can lay this down. I'm actually just gonna put that gear like that. Now this is keyed, so you can only do it one way, okay? But just double check your color. The red is away from my belly, so I want the red away from my belly on the battery. Okay. And I'll just pull the landing gear out of the way now, plug this in. Okay, now that that's plugged in, you can see some lights flashing inside. So we'll stuff this in the hole. And there's a couple of different ways you can stuff it in, but I'm gonna let you guys use your best judgment on what direction you like to put it and what hole you wanna stick it in. As for the batteries, don't do it like that. I'm gonna try to do this. Like that. No. There. That's probably good enough, except I don't like that it is down like that. So let's try going up into the nose like this. You see how I grabbed it by the lead? This is gonna work. I can already feel it. Oh yeah. So good. Look at that. And I'll be able to get that out fairly easy. Look at that. Nice, smooth. And then I'm gonna stick the gear back into the hole, and then I'm gonna pivot it back and lock it. Okay? So now you'll notice it sits on its main. It's really nice, huh? Okay, now turn on the transmitter. Wait for everything to start. Nothing's starting. Weird, right? Okay, not sure why. Throttle up, throttle down. Now it's working. Okay, so you can see when I move the sticks, that is gonna roll the plane left, roll the plane right, elevator up, elevator down, yaw left, yaw right, okay? So, full throttle. You guys hear that? Seems like pretty good thrust. It's got enough to get around, okay? Now, there's gonna be modes here. I don't know which mode does what, but we're gonna find out from the manual. Camera crew and I are gonna look at that right now.
Gear. There we go.
Okay, so mode toggle. So how do you know what mode you're in?
Oh, here you go. So manual mode is away from you.
Okay.
Optimized in the middle, and then full stabilized mode.
Okay, so now watch this, guys. Keep in mind, there's no throttle cut, so don't bump that and get caught. So as I roll this plane, it's gonna try to resist. Yep, resist, resist, resist. Now look at the elevator. It's gonna resist as I lift or lower. Lifting, it resists. Lowering, it resists. Same thing with this. It's gonna yaw, it's gonna resist, it's gonna resist. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to be back.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Very
Here,
slightly.
how about I hold it, okay? So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna hold the plane and I'm gonna give you guys a front. Watch this. Look at that rudder. It's moved very, very subtly. That's not so subtle when you look close, is it? Now look at the elevator. Up, now down. Up, now down. Up. Now look at the ailerons. Roll up, roll down. Roll up, roll down. Camera crew. So as you can see, this is stabilizing. But it's not trying to level the aircraft, it's just sort of trying to hold a position, okay? Now if I pull this all the way to my belly, now it's gonna auto level. See, it's finding the quickest route to level. So let's show them what auto leveling looks like by not hitting another plane. Let's throw it that direction. Does it work? Keeps it pretty much level, okay? Now it's not broke yet either, you notice, which is pretty cool, except that the prop came off, okay? And I bent my landing gear back. Well, that can be symptomatic from not controlling the plane at all.
Right.
But I just want to show you the extent of the damage was 3 seconds of bending the steel back, okay? So it did keep the plane level, but ironically, it felt like it kept it pretty level without. And you'll notice there's a prop missing now. So I have to go searching. We'll find it and come right back. That thing went all the way into the stairway. Ridiculous. So that's what we were talking about earlier. Now, if that were on top of grass, that was this tall or this tall, it'd be kind of tough to find. But I gotta say, they did a nice job on the spinner. It looks very good. And I gotta say that I also really like the decals here. They didn't try to do a mount that was like huge, but they still pulled it off. Also, look at the color of the light. Solid, still solid, and still solid, okay? So you're not gonna be able to tell. And I'm just gonna do this right now, what the manufacturer should have done, that they didn't do. I'm gonna mark my transmitter.
Yeah.
Okay? So, cam crew is gonna. All right, so all the way back toward me is auto leveling. Auto level. Okay, then stabilizer, okay, and then off. Okay, so we've got all three modes. So I'm just gonna draw like an arrow that goes up here to the back. And then I'm gonna draw an arrow that goes over here to the middle, which is the lamest possible way I could have done this. Then I'm gonna draw a little bump and then come to this point. Okay, good enough. You guys don't even need to see, it's just for me to remember. And then we're gonna have the same setup on this PA-18. The only difference is it's a different airframe, okay? So now, there's another function that I think this has. It's got a return to home and stunts, okay? So this is the same as we've seen from the other Chinese offerings, and we're never impressed with it. But the one-touch stunts are kind of fun, okay? So what you're doing is when you're flying, they want you to be at a height of approximately 20 meters. So if you're 60 feet up.
Holy cow.
By the way, 60 feet up is a long ways up. I mean,
especially with a little plane.
With a little plane.
Like how I fly.
I don't think most people are gonna be 60 feet up doing this. But anyway, all you gotta do is, once the return to home activation is complete, when the aircraft is flying at a distance of more than 20 meters, pull the return to home button downwards. That's this button.
Yes.
Where is it? Show the people. Go to the other side.
Right here?
No, over here. Return to home button, right here. It would be like your throttle trim. Okay? And then also this is your stunt button up here, okay? Right? So that all makes sense. But you have to set that before takeoff, right?
I guess. I don't know how you set it. I don't see how you set it.
Place the aircraft on a level surface. Turn on the transmitter and power on the aircraft. Point the aircraft in the intended flight direction. The intended flight direction? It's a freaking airplane.
So...
Okay, continuing the directions.
Push and
hold the return to home button upward for about 1 second. Okay, listen, that's the direction I want it to go. Now we've set the home, like now, if we're 20 meters away, watch what happens when I tell it to do it. How long do you have to do it?
No, it says quickly push the throttle to the highest position, then pull back to the lowest. Oh, that's, you already initiated it.
I already did that.
Okay.
So then, once the return to home activation is complete, how do you activate it?
You did up here. You just did. You pushed.
No, how do I actually do it?
Pull the return to home button downwards. The aircraft will automatically turn around and fly back to your direction. You can take control of the aircraft at any time by operating the control stick.
But just look at it. Yeah, like I don't see it. It should be giving me rudder and trying to change its attitude.
No, turn it around because that's the direction that you had it. That's the direction that you
initiated. It should turn around and come
it.
toward it. It should turn around and come back.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So guys, we have just clearly explained why we have never talked about the return to home function. It is stupid. It does not work. Don't depend on it. It's totally idiotic. Don't use it. But what is cool is the stunt button. This is the stunt button and it's fun. How gimmicky is it? Very gimmicky. You press this button, then you pull a maneuver and the flight controller will automatically execute a loop or a roll. So press and hold, then execute. Press and hold, and then execute. You don't even have to press and hold, you just push it momentarily. So those are the features. If you are flying in manual mode, then I think you're gonna just do the things. Maybe you have to be in automatic mode. Let's go to the beginner mode or whatever, okay? Now let's try, since we're over here, we're going in a different trajectory. I'm pulling down. Oh, look at that. Now it's trying to bank. I don't know if it's gonna turn. I wanna see what's gonna happen. Nope, it's just auto leveling, never mind.
Okay.
I tried to pull down the button here.
Yeah.
To see if it would go home. We'll try it, but I'm guessing it's just gonna be a complete waste of time. But the stunt button will work, okay? We've seen them before, it's super fun. Just make sure you have enough altitude. If you do it at like 10 feet off the ground, there's a good chance it's gonna smack into the ground. And then you're gonna be looking for the only prop that came with it, okay? Now, admittedly, we have done a handful of different small T-28s over the years. They've always been fun. We've always had a great time with them. And yes, you can pull this gear off and you can fly it without landing gear, okay? So I think that this is gonna be a great little product for a beginner, but just keep in mind, as with any other RC product, you have to come prepared. Flying is harder than it looks, even with the aids that are involved. But there's never been a time easier to learn to fly than right now. And do we want to show them this one real quick?
Let's just initiate it just in case there's
make sure there's no
about
idiosyncrasies about this. Oh, that one came right out. Nice. Okay. So I'll hold this off to the side. The red is up and away from my belly. Keep in mind, guys, these are the same batteries. Okay. Just kind of stuff that down in there carefully. Be nice to your leads so that your leads are nice back. Okay. Got that in. Now I am going to turn on the transmitter. I noticed on this one I had to throttle up and throttle down. Throttle up, throttle down. Whoa, I didn't get that all the way back on evidently. Pop this back on, okay. There it goes, pretty good amount of power. Yeah. Not bad. See, it's kind of trying to pull away. Almost unlimited vertical, which is better than we've seen in some of these, you know, models. Is this a brushless motor? Did it say on the box?
No, we have to read the manual.
Oh, okay, I don't want to do that thing.
Yeah, no, you won't.
So as you can see, we have a rudder that moves, we have an elevator that moves, and we have ailerons that move. They're little baby ailerons. I do not know why they don't make the ailerons longer, because it would sure look cooler. The other thing too is if they made those out here, then you could actually cut in inboard flaps. And you know, inboard ailerons work poorly on long wing planes, okay? So you could take this, and if you like the clipped wing cub, you could cut this and make it even smaller, more aerobatic. But I like the longer wing. I think it's gonna be good for a beginner. It'll be fun. And we've had a really good experience with this exact style of ultra small planes, okay? So real quick, you see the cat? Come over here, show the cat.
Sorry. She's anticipating your shenanigans.
Okay, I'm in auto leveling.
Where are you going with this?
I'm gonna just fly it and crash it. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, so as you can see, everything works fine.
It flies nice and straight.
Yeah, it flies nice and straight. That was an auto leveling, okay? So if you guys are brand new to the hobby and you got a few bucks burning a hole in your pocket, now these are gonna be inexpensive, and that's part of the key to the successful transaction here, is that they're inexpensive, okay? Here's the thing. It does not take a rocket scientist to know that this is not going to be as good as a 1.8 meter PA-18, which is, by the way, awesome, okay? It is a 1.8, right?
I think the PA...
There's a 1.7 Ranger, and then a 1.8
PA18?
P18, right?
I think that's what it is.
Or vice versa. And if I said that backward, guys, forgive me. There's also a 1.3 meter Ranger, or excuse me, 1.3 meter PA18 that you can get. That, and then they have a Ranger that's got a tricycle landing gear that looks a lot like this. And that is an excellent beginner plane. So here's the thing, here on Brian Phillips RC, we're not married to one particular model over another particular model, but we do want for consistent, reliable partnerships with brands that make good stuff, okay? Good stuff is not a guarantee when you're buying from China. We have learned from personal experience with hundreds of transactions. If you want something that's going to be reliably good, FMS is generally a good partnership in that regard, okay? Also, they make a lot of the most popular E-Flight lineup, which is really good too. And that speaks to the quality of their builds. You can usually tell also from the manuals, because the manuals look a lot the same, okay? That's not to take anything away from E-Flight. That's not to take anything away from FMS. It's just a reality, okay? Because we deal in reality here on Brian Phillips RC, not what we want the reality to be, okay? So would we love it if these things were even cheaper and more attainable? Sure. But since they are what they are, we're gonna suggest that you consider them and follow the links in the video description below when you do consider these things. And that is one of the best ways you can help support Brian Phillips RC and the things that we do in RC. And that would also include the camera crew and our kids that have to be involved in this stuff, whether or not they love it. But I can just tell you this, as a kid, I would have killed to have a station that looks like this on my table, okay? I remember making, when I was a kid, I'm in my 40s, okay? I had a wish list that I would give my parents, and it would say like his birthday. This is what I would like to have for my birthday. And I remember writing almost verbatim for something exactly like this. Now, I probably would have said I wanted this, you know, or I would have thought I wanted like an F-14 or something like that.
Right.
Well, you're not gonna fly an F-14 for your first plane. Yes, you can get a twin 40 millimeter F-14 that's a lot like this SR-71, okay? Except it flies a lot better than that SR-71. I still want the SR-71 because it's awesome and it does technically fly. Technically is the problem. We want you guys to have a good experience. And sometimes a good experience is an experience you're gonna have in 2 years and not right now. Because here's the thing, unless you're one of these like freak 6-year-olds that flies for German, you know, sponsored aircraft manufacturers, you need practice, okay? These 6-year-olds, and by the way, we know, I'm talking about Luca. Luca, if you're watching, I don't know why you're watching this, but that's okay. We see them at world-renowned RC events like Jono, which is really fun in South Carolina. So these things are gonna get you from where you are, which is knowing absolutely nothing about RC, into, or maybe a little bit, or you dabbled a few years ago and you just didn't find success because you bought the wrong thing. This will be something you can use. Now, admittedly, we haven't flown them outside. Admittedly, we got 37-mile-an-hour wind for the next 2 days, which means it's gonna be very challenging for us to get footage in time for this release. Which is, if I recall, exactly what happened on the last release from FMS.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Remember the P-51? Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, that's right. So at the end of the day, we don't set the schedule, we don't set the release times, but what we do is tell the truth on this channel, because at the end of the day, it's really going to be beneficial for you to have at least good information to make good decisions with your otherwise limited RC budget, unless you're independently wealthy. And if you are independently wealthy, you don't want to waste your time on the garbage, okay? So either way, you still win. So we hope to help you sift through the plethora of Chinese offerings and bring you some of the best will float to the top. Now, they'll float to the top on their own merit, not because of what we tell you or don't tell you, but we are gonna tell you what we experience with these things, and that's part of the reason why we exist on YouTube. So anyway, hopefully we answered your questions. If you wanna support us, buy them from the links. They will be linked in the video description below. We'll link to both of these. But if you like something else that FMS has made, or like that F7F, or whatever it happens to be, you can have our BrianPhillipsRC.com. And the only reason I suggest that rather than going to the playlists on YouTube is because we have so many of them. Hundreds of playlists with thousands of videos. We can't find stuff we want to find.
Yeah.
So the best thing we do is we search the playlist, but YouTube's search results for playlists, they may own the world's most proficient search engine on planet Earth, but yet they don't have a good enough search engine for their own largest video platform in the world.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't understand it. But anyway, if you go to Brian Phillips RC, we figured it out, you know, because we have a Wix website, you know, so we're experts.
Yeah.
Evidently.
I am.
Yeah, and it's sorted by type by the camera crew. So if you want to support the camera crew, head over there, check out what you want to see. And yes, it's always going to be one or the other, but we usually don't review 2 planes at the same time. That's unusual for us to do. The reason we're doing this is because the release is coordinated and the timing has been set for us. That's why you're probably seeing this from yesterday when you were in bed.
Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed it. These are pretty sweet looking airplanes. They've done a really nice job. When we heard about these, our initial gut instinct was, oh, well, they're about 4 years late to the party. And yours might be exactly the same thing. And after having seen them, you might feel the same way. And if that's true, well, congratulations, we're going to be in agreement. But I do think that these have a little bit of an edge on some of the competitive offerings, but I don't know that yet. I tend to think that there's more stabilization happening, and if they fly better and they have a better flight controller, or the flight controller works better than the competitive offerings from
Right.
then so be it. Which, by the way, these are probably being made by them anyway, is my guess.
I don't know. Maybe.
And packaged by
The
FMS boxes.
The thing is though, like if you're new to the hobby, you don't know all the other options that are out there.
That's right.
So if you're new and you're just seeing this and you're like, I want to get started yesterday, where do I start?
Yeah,
These might be a good
that's
option.
right. Oh, and by the way, that's a very good point you bring up, camera crew. If you're looking to get into the hobby, let's give you a hypothetical situation. Let's say you wait 6 months to start. Do you think it's going to be cheaper in 6 months to buy RC products?
I'm gonna guess no.
Okay. Do you think it's going to be easier to fly in 6 months? Well, for us, it's probably going to be starting to get snowy.
Gross.
I know it's disgusting, but do you think that's going to make it easier?
No.
Okay. So what we're saying is there's never a better time than now to get into the hobby. Does not mean you have to blow thousands of dollars to do it. However, if you have thousands of dollars to blow, you can definitely do it. We're going to help you spend in the right direction so that you're not spending into the garbage can with crash airplanes, okay? And yes, that is what many of these manufacturers would have you do, is to spend into the garbage can on all the junk that they want to offer you. There are sometimes not a good fit, okay?
No.
We have reviewed, for this brand, we have reviewed planes that they want us to tell you it is good for a beginner. And I'm like, no, an F-18 fixed gear is not good for a beginner.
Or if you go to your local hobby shop and they sell you a V900 with a surface transmitter.
Yes.
That's probably not a good place to
Yes,
start.
which did
Happens.
literally happen to
I
one of our
hear it
viewers
and
last
see it
week.
all the time.
Guys, we can't stop, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the hobby shops. We have great relationships with a lot of hobby shops because we help to promote a product that they're selling stuff. Well, of course, we're competitive with them to a certain extent because of the commissions that we earn on sales from these things, which doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. But at the end of the day, we just want to grow the hobby, let everybody win.
And we want you to stay in the hobby. If you go crash a V900, you're going to be done.
That's
not
right.
Gonna...
And a V900 is about the worst choice you could make for a beginner.
It's right up there.
And we would tell you that if you asked.
Right.
And that's why we're here, because it's very easy for people to get into this hobby and price where they want to be. I have money, therefore I want to fly the V900 first. I don't care if you're Tyler Perry and you've got money, because Tyler Perry has money, which, by the way, if you didn't know, he flies RC and he's an excellent pilot. And I really would love to meet him someday and fly his awesome airstrip. But at any rate, the point is this. You don't start with a V900.
No.
That's a terrible choice. That's an awesome plane.
And if you're new to the hobby, you don't know that it's a terrible choice.
That's right.
So you need somebody that will tell you.
The hobby shop would tell you that, but evidently not.
Not that one, apparently.
And a ground transmitter does not speak the same protocol
As an air transmitter.
as an air transmitter. I did not know this 10 years ago when I was starting, but I know it now, and we have many transmitters. By the way, they're expensive, so you need to get the right tool.
Yep.
Also, we'll teach you how to use those, okay? And yes, there's obviously more than one way to skin a cat, but I don't know why you're skinning cats. That's weird. So if you want help learning to RC, then you're in the right place on Brian Phillips RC. We'll teach you about battery technology. We'll teach you how not to chop your hands off. If you do what we say, you'll have pretty good luck. We can't stop you from making bad decisions, but we can help you recover from bad decisions. Unless it's got to do with your wife. And then you gotta live with it. So snakes in the basement, tip the UPS guy to bring them around back. What else, hon? I'm one of the lucky ones. Right?
Yeah.
She's giving me the look.
Just trying to figure out what it says about me.
At the end of the day, we love this hobby. We want to see you guys succeed, and we also want to help support a hobby that we love, because at the end of the day, we need always to have fresh blood in the water for people that can eventually end up getting into a plane like this. You realize there's a lot of people that started watching our channel that are now advanced past our channel.
Oh, yeah.
Totally past. Mm-hmm. And we meet them all the time, and it breaks my heart. At the same time, it's also encouraging, because that means that we played a small part in their success. And it may be a small part, but it was still a part. And if you want to live that same experience, you're in the right place on Brian Phillips RC. So subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications. When you do, you'll help the growth of the channel as well, which is nice. Also, don't forget, we don't ever ask you guys to share, but you should share, because there's a lot of people out there right now that are willing to tell you whatever the manufacturer says. We don't care what the manufacturer says. In fact, usually whatever they say, we do the opposite thing because we know what manufacturers are trying to do. And I'm not saying that they're evil because they want to sell their product. That's exactly what I would do if I was making this widget. As a business person, that's exactly what you ought to be doing. But as a RC influencer on YouTube that cares and loves this hobby, cares about you and loves this hobby, our job is to tell you the truth. And we're gonna do it. All right, have I left any stone unturned?
Nope.
All right, leave your comments down below. If we're telling the truth, if you have an example of when we told you the truth and it helped you out of a bind, leave it in the comments below. Beginners watch these videos because beginners need help. And we are really gonna be here to help. By the way, if you get that 1.7 meter PA-18, it is awesome. It is one of my favorites, okay? That is one of my favorites. That Catalina is pretty awesome too. It's made by a competitive brand. Of course, you can watch our footage on that. This F7F is awesome. One of the most beautiful retractable landing gear sets on any of the planes that we currently possess. But we're not married to one particular brand, one particular plane, one particular accessory, okay? We do lean towards Spectrum transmitters because that's what I learned on and I love them, okay? And we do lean towards Spectrum batteries and receivers because that's what I learned on and that's what I like, okay? We don't always use them. But if you were to get that plane, we'll show you how to set it up start to finish and you can have a great experience. But it's a lot more money to get started, so. And also, just so you know, I have 250 plus transmitter profiles in here for different aircraft in this one transmitter, okay? You're only supposed to have 250. I think I got 275 in here. It's supposed to crash after 250. Well, it hadn't crashed yet. And I have another one brand new in the box. It's an NX8. I'm gonna go backward and show you guys. The truth is, you don't have to spend $2 grand on a transmitter to have a good experience. But if you do, you'll probably have a really good experience. Unless you can't figure out how to use it. And then you have $2 grand paperweight, and we have helped people out of those exact circumstances on this channel. So we're gonna help you too. All right, that's all we got for you tonight. Guys, don't forget, if you order this plane and you wanna have a better charger to help supplement so you don't have to use these provided ones, which are totally fine, they're just a little bit slower, check out the link. It'll be right below the planes for this micro charger. We use this and we demonstrate the same exact charger. We actually have another one that we have that we don't use near as much, and it looks like this, okay? I just don't like it as much, so we don't talk about it as much. And this is the one we use when we have 1S batteries. But as you can see, you can do almost all the same things with this. So why would you have this versus that?
Yeah.
You know, so, and that's the type of thing that we're gonna do, is we're gonna help sift through the plethora of millions of different choices and distractions that wanna take your RC budget. And we're gonna get you focused on what you need to get the job done. Have I left anything out?
Nope.
All right, guys. Once again, T-28, 410 millimeters, PA-18, 500 millimeters. Both should be pretty cool. And acceptable offerings from FMS. Good job, FMS. We hope these things fly well. Next time, maybe give us more than 48 hours to give you good footage, because sometimes it's like -14 out and snowing, which yes, we've done those too. In fact, not too long ago, we filmed a CJ6 in a snowstorm.
That was super cool.
And that was an awesome flight. And by the way, awesome plane. I would have never ever picked that plane. And then I flew it and I was in love with its flight performance. I didn't even know what a CJ6 was before we did that plane. It's like a Chinese plane.
Military plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, your taste changed as you get into this hobby. You will think, hey, I don't like the PA-18 when you first start, or maybe you will. Or I don't like the T-28. Give it a few months. You'll get there. T-28 was low on my list of favorites. What's another example? The red one.
The T-28 is one I always say.
Yeah.
The red one.
The red one I'm thinking of.
The Yak?
It's an FMS. Well, the Yak is one that I thought looked like an Angry Birds.
Yeah.
One of my favorites now. What's the other red one?
The Avanti?
No.
No.
It's a prop, turbo prop. I can't think of it off the
the
top
Pilatus.
of my head. The Pilatus. Yeah, the PC
21.
One of my favorite planes, which is crazy because I have a lot of favorites,
Yeah, I was
admittedly.
gonna say.
But it's so funny because you will mature into an appreciation for aircraft that you didn't have maybe before, or maybe you do already, and maybe you won't. But I can tell you this, my personal experience was I have matured into a bigger and greater appreciation for all this aircraft, all of the aircraft that we do on this channel, because they all offer a very different experience, which I would have told you when I first started, yeah, I just need a high wing trainer and a jet or something like that. Yeah, right. 400 plus deep probably right now in airplanes, probably 200 in helicopters and small planes like this. And I still need more to really hit the spot.
Okay.
You can be just like me. But anyway, that will help wet your whistle. This is going to get you enough information. Make a good decision. Stay tuned. More from Brian Phillips, RC. Come back for more. Oh, yeah, and if you want to support us, but you don't want to buy these planes, check out brianphillipsrc.com. Check out one of the competitive offerings from FMS or one of the other brand affiliates we work with. And if you don't want to do that, we have YouTube Super Thanks for one-time donations. Also YouTube members if you want to do it on a monthly basis, or Patreon for monthly support, as well as a P.O. box if you want to send us something. Just let us know in an email if that comes up. And did I say PayPal? And we do PayPal as well. So there's a bunch of different ways to support us financially if you're interested. The best of which is to watch, like, subscribe. Just definitely buy them when you buy them from the links. That's one of the best ways you can support us, because then that helps us to bolster our relationships with the companies, which we have historically been able to weed through some of the worst, so you don't have to. But the ones that are good, let us tell the full truth, nothing but the truth, so help us God. And that sometimes means awkward conversations with you. Even though they want us to say this, we say that. All right, come back for more.